Hello, my name is Kade, this is June Awakening, and this is a guide for the Testing Station 136 final boss. A lot of people seem to be struggling with this one for various reasons, so I want to go over the build that I'm using for this boss, how to approach the fight. Now this is going to be a solo, so I've got the benefit of only a single additional ad spawn. If you're doing this duo, however, the rules do not really change all that much. The priority is always going to be on killing ads, as in any classic MMO sort of boss fight. If ads spawn in, the ads become priority. The boss is just something that you're gonna keep around until the ads are being dealt with. So we're going to need to be able to deal with the boss in the form of a form CC, crowd control. For this, of course, we're going to need to equip us the right skills, and we're going to need to use the right tools for the job. So as tools for the job go, we're going to switch over to a responsive planar suspensor belt. This will really make this fight a lot easier, and if all goes well, you should never get hit by the boss herself. You'll notice, for example, that I'm running here in heavy armor without any form of like fire resistance on it. This is just the heavy armor that I like to use in general. I find that the damage reduction against darts and stuff, as little as it is, has more value than an elemental resistance against fire, because I should not get hit by the fire. That's what it comes down to. Now, weapon-wise, you want to have something to break shield. So I'm using the experimental lightning gun. You can see this is just a grade 1 version of it. So it's not even all that great, but it is still very much capable. Ideally, of course, when you start farming level 10, you want to have full-on grade 2 weapons. That would be nice. I could craft one, but I just would try to get a grade 3 one, because I find the grade 1 lightning gun is good enough, so to speak. A Rage's triple shot rifle is something that I would strongly recommend. This is going to be our primary damage source versus the boss. Now we can also close in and use a shotgun. It is actually completely safe to do so. And occasionally I may do it as well, but my primary source is going to be in the form of the Rage's triple shot. The lightning gun is going to be there to drop the shields on the melee ad, because that's very important. Once those shields are dropped, we want to switch over to either the shotgun or the triple shot rifle to try and finish them off. Now it's very important, if you are in that fight against the ad, we have to make sure that if we notice that the boss is coming back up, so the CC on the boss is now over, we are going to go into movement. We're going to use our responsive planar belt and we're going to start to move. We need to make sure that we just deal with that ad in a moment of downtime, or when we can CC the boss again. That's when we deal with the ad. Until such moment in time, we're just going to run away. This also means that if you're doing this with more people, and you have ranged ads spawning in, they're becoming even more priority. Now, the melee ad likely will start shooting at you the moment you start using a responsive planar belt, so that's something to keep in mind. However, my first priority at that moment in time is to get momentum going, so that I can move in a direction that the boss is not going to hit me. When I'm doing that, I can just use the Rage's triple shot and try and finish off the melee as well. These are options. Now, skill-wise, this is very important. We want to have the Assault Seeker. We do not need it for its damage, because the damage of skills doesn't matter at these higher difficulties. But we use this to counteract the boss homing missile. So whenever the boss throws her homing missile, you throw your Assault Seeker right at it. You explode the Assault Seeker by the second button press for that ability, and it will take out the boss homing missile. If you do fail that, you're of course down to shooting it down with your gun. This can still be done. At these difficulties, especially without any resistances, that homing missile is pretty much a one-shot. So you definitely don't want to get hit by it. We're using Shigawara Claw, of course, to just drag her down when she's trying to do her I'm sitting in the air shooting everywhere around me. You can just hover around it. It's not that dangerous, but it's just kind of nice to remove an element out of the fight for yourself. And finally, we're using Compel. And Compel is our CC that we use on the boss when we want to deal with the ads. Beyond that, you can see I'm running a full range build. We're running Death from Above for some extra damage. Battle Hardened, of course, for the quicker reload, especially nice for the Assault Seeker. And Center of Mass for the general center of mass sort of damage. We're not really going for headshots, we're trying to go for the center of mass. It's a large target, and with a triple shot, otherwise you're gonna have likely gonna miss even more darts than already if you just shoot at the head. Suspensor efficiency is surprisingly nice, of course, when we're just hovering around on our planar suspensor belt. More range damage, rifle damage, your standard power skills. Bene Gesserit, because we're using quite a few of these voice skills frequently. I also use Weirding Stat when I'm fighting NPCs. I do actually put points in the voice training to reduce their cooldowns. Maximum health, of course. Self-healing I max out as well. For potion tolerance, if you go there, we max it out. The rest is just single points here. And for the Swordmaster, we're maxing out our stamina skills here and field medicine. Speaking of health kits, my recommendation these days is just run Mark 4s and Mark 6s. They drop so much that you really don't need the Mark 2s. I just use the Mark 2s to just top off in between fights. Now, for NPC fights, I tend to keep the Mark 4s on my easy accessible slot. For a boss fight, I do switch them around. If I do get hit, I'm going to take a shit ton of damage. I just want to be able to heal as much of the damage back as quickly as possible. And with the right skills in place, this thing is going to give you a massive chunk of healing in an instant. And that, of course, makes it very useful. Now, finally, we're just going to make sure we're full on water. And we're just going to start this fight off. Make sure you got your belt. Yep, we have. Let's go. And this is how we're going to do it. We're just going to go hovering around here for a bit. This first stage is fairly harmless. And you can see that even while I'm reloading, I'm not getting hit. And that's how you're going to use that one. That was a misclick for me. Okay, I want to recharge my power. I'm just going to go down. I can shoot, of course, but I don't need to necessarily. Here we go, we're going back up. Accuracy doesn't matter too much, we can miss a shot. Okay. Now the boss is gonna go. We know there's gonna be an ad spawn from that door. I'm dragging her down. And I'm just going to be ready for those ads. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Compel boss. Deal with the ad. Shields down. Drag her down. And we reset the fight. Now you see how quickly we can dispatch a single ad. Now if you're with multiple people, they're gonna have a little bit more HP, of course. Or they have maybe some better weapons, whatever it is. But focus them down. They're your absolute priority. The boss is relatively harmless. Here she goes up again. We just drag her down. It doesn't matter. We reset our energy bar. And we're just gonna continue hammering her from ranged. Yes, you can close in for the shotgun, like I said. But this just works. Make it comfortable, this fight, for yourself. There's a lot going on. Okay, now we're ready to go into the final. Ready? So now we're gonna get another ad, right? And she's gonna spawn her missiles. Boom. Counter the missile. We should get the ad any moment. There we go. Gonna hold for a bit, hold for a bit, hold for a bit. Oh, we're fine, we can just reload. Drag her down. Counter the missile. And now we no longer have to worry about ads. And the only thing we need to worry about now is the missile. And then for stage 4, she's gonna put the floor on fire. But of course, we are just hovering around most of the time, so we don't really care about the floor being on fire. Sit down. There you go. Now you see, we've actually taken a little bit of damage here, right? And a lot of people will be like, I don't really have to worry about this. Just a bit of damage. Let's just heal up. We can do it safely. There's a lot of downtime. Boom. Okay, we're almost ready now for the final stage. So I'm gonna go on the ground. And the reason I want to be on the ground now, she's gonna go and want to put the floor on fire. I'm just getting ready for the mechanics. There we go. Floor is on fire. Missile will come. There we go. Missile. And we're going back to our usual pattern. You can see in the entirety of this fight, it doesn't really change a whole lot what we're doing. We're just repeating the same pattern over and over. I'm gonna go on the ground, reset my energy so that I have enough to go and hover around again. Now I'm ready, so she will soon throw a missile again. So just be ready for that. Yeah, there you go. Floor's on fire. Missile will come. Boom. Missile dealt with. Reacquire. And she's down. That's the entirety of this fight. It's all about giving yourself the space and time that you need to pull things off. So whenever I know that we're going to get ready for the next stage, you see that I stop worrying about the boss. All I'm doing at that point is I'm starting to ignore mechanics. So to play around those, I ready up the weapon that I need to deal with the ad. I position myself to be ready to deal with the ad. I hear the alarm go off, so the ad's gonna spawn in. I'm gonna make a little bit of a mental countdown. I don't want to immediately CC the boss. If I CC the boss right away, I'm losing precious seconds of CC time because the ad doesn't spawn in immediately. The alarm is a warning. So you have to count down a couple of seconds. Once you do that, you CC the boss, you turn around, you engage the ad or ads if you're in a group. They're absolute priority. If you're in a duo playing these testing stations, you're gonna get 3 ads. You both focus the ads. However, once you have downed ideally 2 of them, because each of you should be able to focus on one and get that one down, one of you is going to be the designated player to re-engage the boss, to be ready to deal with the boss immediately. The other player needs to position themselves such that they can still see the boss, because you need to be aware if the boss starts shooting you anyway or throws a missile at you anyway. But their focus is going to be to deal with that final NPC add-on. Now, if you're really properly organized, the way that you do this is not have a set person, but it's going to be the person whomever has aggro of the ad, they're responsible of dealing with the final ad. So that person on the voice comm should say, I got aggro. At that moment, no, the other person knows they don't have aggro. They have the confirmation that the other person has aggro. So they know immediately that their focus is going to be, I need to be on the boss. The boss tends to go, when they go out of CC, she wants to shoot up in the air and do her quick fire stuff. So you're ready with a chicken wire claw. You drag her down immediately, and hopefully that should give you the boss aggro, so that she's going to shoot a missile at you, shoot her gun at you, and you're the one dealing with that, while your duo partner can deal with the final ad. That's how you want to approach this. This fight is all about time and space. If you ensure yourself that you have that, you can go through this fight in a very relaxed sort of fashion, because there's not really much going on beyond that. You just go out there, you just hover, you just shoot, you get close to the next stage, you prepare for the stage, you deal with the ad, and you repeat the process. She doesn't add anything too complicated. You can see that that homing missile is very easily dealt with the Assault Seeker here. So again, that's a mechanic you can completely play around. We're already making use of the Suspensor Belt in the form of the planner, the Responsive Planner Suspensor Belt, in order to hover around, make it very easy for ourselves. And it allows us to really dodge that fire. Now, if you're very good with it, you can actually hover in place going back and forth like left to right, and also still dodge all of her fire. That is a more advanced technique that you can try, but you don't have to. Again, you do what is most comfortable, that gives you space and time, because that gives you also an amount of mental capacity and spare capacity to deal with things that are going on. The longer it takes for a shot to reach you, the more time you have to register that it is happening. Now, as you start to go through this fight, And ideally, you want to do this at low levels and just take your time to get used to those mechanics. So don't rush her down, but learn those mechanics. You start to get comfortable with them, and you also start to understand when they're going to happen. Like in that final stage, you know she's going to put down fire on the ground. There's guaranteed going to be a follow-up of a homing missile. So I stop worrying about needing to shoot her. I just make sure I'm aimed straight at her, ready for that call that that homing missile is coming, so I can throw my assault seeker to counter it. Once I've countered that mechanic, I know I have again space and time. I can re-engage the boss, start applying my damage. And yeah, I hope that is a informative sort of guide for you. It's a part way, of course, directly a guide for this boss, but also a bit of understanding of what you want to do in these kinds of boss fights. Like, when I'm talking about space and time, that is really one of the most crucial things that you want to do. If you can do that in as many of these fights as possible, and some of them are harder than others, it will really help you in dealing with these fights. Now, it may take away from the speed running of these instances. But if you're struggling with these fights, you're not worried about the speed of killing these fights. You're worried about being able to kill them in this fight. Once you get to the point where you stop worrying about that aspect, that's when you can go ahead and start speeding things up. That's when you can start, closing in on her using something like a shotgun to do additional damage. Or maybe you're going to be like, hey, I'm not worried about her going up in the air and shooting all around us. We can deal with that, or I can deal with that as a solo. I'm going to take out Shigarwire Claw, and I'm going to replace it with a Tractor Field, because it means like my damage that I apply is going to be far more efficient. Something that you could do, for example. So think about it through that. First, get comfortable, then start worrying about speeding the grind up. So yeah. With all said, all I can really say is thank you very much for watching and for your attention. I hope really that this has been helpful for you, because I just know people are struggling with these fights. And well, beyond that, my name has been Kade. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.